Welcome. Today, you are going to meet my friend, Melissa Kehl. She's the CEO of Rieke Office Interiors, a manufacturing company here in the Chicago suburbs, and one of those women that I always look up to. She started in the accounting department at this company and moved her way up to CEO, more than doubling the revenue along the way. She's going to tell you how she did that. And she's got a really great piece of advice for women entrepreneurs who want to scale to 7 figures. Melissa, thank you so much for being here. Melissa Kehl, I'm so excited to have you here. We met a few years ago and had lunch and just hit it off immediately. I think we can both agree that we didn't want to leave and just keep going the rest of the day. It was such a great conversation. Please tell the audience how you got started at Rieke Office Interiors.
22 years ago, it's been a long time, I started out as a CFO. I'm a CPA by trade, and I was working for an accounting firm. And the president of Rieke Office Interiors and I were working on a 2-year fundraising project for kids in Elgin. And he's like, you have to come work for me. You have to come work for me. And I'm like, I don't know. It's a big change when you get out of public accounting and you go into private. It's really hard to get back into public if you want to. You're not up on the tax codes, and it's a big struggle. So that was a big change for me. I was like, I was an auditor. You're working for tons of different companies. I'm like, how am I going to go work for one company? That would probably be boring. And 22 years later, it hasn't been boring one day.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're constantly like, what's the next thing we can do? What's the next thing we can do? There's moss on my wall, but there's no moss on us. We are just constantly moving. And then, like, I don't know, 11 years ago, I bought in as a partial owner. Then I became the actually interim president sales manager. I was supposed to be for 6 months, and that was 11 years ago.
Wow.
So I was the CFO, president, sales manager, little crazy, way too many hats for one person. And then I decided to take the plunge and buy my partner out. So he's off retired in Florida, and it's mine. Ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. You and I spoke when we first met. My father is in manufacturing, so I've been in the industry for a while. Plastics manufacturing, a little different, but so cool to see that there are other women in manufacturing and that it continues to grow. What are some of the changes that you've made since taking over, since you bought it from a guy? And when women run companies, it's a very different experience. Tell me about some of the changes that you made.
One of them is hiring a new operations manager who was or is really ahead with the times. He and I worked really hard to bring women into manufacturing. So now out of my 46 manufacturing employees, half of them are women. It's really exciting.
So cool.
The old, management team that I had was, they can't lift this, they can't do this, they can't, and they're just, the attention to details is there, and they're just, oh my gosh, and their creativity, and it has brought such a new dynamic to our manufacturing plant. It's really amazing. And the other thing, not just in manufacturing, but in the front office too, really making sure that everybody, men and women, I do have more women that work for me in the front than I do men, but are there for their families too. So how can we be more flexible? How can they work from home some days? How can they work from home in the afternoon or take off early to go do something with their children, and then they can work a couple extra hours at night? Even in manufacturing, which is harder because when you're paid by the hour instead of salary, you really have to pay attention to, your hours. We even do it then. I have somebody that starts at 6 a.m. She comes in, she works, she leaves, she takes her kids to school, then she comes back. And just having that flexibility, you can be a mom or even a dad or whatever you need to do. You can be a family person and still work and get the best of both worlds.
I love that. You talked about creativity. I mean, that's really creative to create that flexibility within, your employees in order to.
We're all about creativity here and really everything we do. We have to be, not just the office furniture world, we're in the space. So any space we need to make beautiful and be creative. What can we do? And how do we take that creativity all the way down the line, even with our vendors, our customers, our employees, everywhere. We as a company say that your foundation is your space. So whether that's your space at home, your space at work, you need to set up a space that works for you and your company and your culture, and then grow your business from there. Because if your culture and your space doesn't match, there's a disconnect. And if your space doesn't flow correctly for good communication or workflow or anything like that, it's harder to run your business. So if you use your space as that foundation to, make your company thrive, we also use our company as the foundation for our employees to thrive. What do they want out of their personal life? It's not all about work. It's not all about, oh, how do we make every penny we can? How do we use our company as the foundation for our employees to build the best life that they want to live, and let it be customized and creative for them? We're a custom manufacturer of office furniture, but we can also customize the workday to benefit everybody so that we can get our results done, but they can get their results done personally too. Very important.
When I think about my why, it's that I think the world will be a better place when there are more women CEOs running multi-million-dollar companies, when women have more economic power, because we really do come at it from a different perspective. We care about the outcome. We care about the impact we're making. We just have a different view of it. It's not just about the numbers and the bottom line for us. When you think about how things have changed within your business with more women in manufacturing, what do you think that essence is? Why do you think that is?
Women, I guess, are usually, this is a stereotype, more of caregivers. They put that care and that heart, they usually have big hearts. They put that into their work, and it shows. Like, you can see it in the stuff we manufacture. You can see it in our project management. You can see it in our, our scheduler who, sends out these beautiful emails just to schedule, a job and make sure that the customer really understands what we're doing and where we are, and, holding their hand. And so, yeah, I do think that women have a better handle on that. They're a little closer to their emotions. And, sometimes that can be good and bad.
That's
but,
true.
But it also, though, just takes that next level to customer service and customer care as well.
Talk a little bit about what your company does.
We basically transform spaces into places that inspire people. We started out years ago in used office furniture. Then we moved on to manufacturing our own line of furniture, then custom flooring. Then 7 years ago, we put design firm in-house. So we hired somebody and she grew our internal design firm. So now we basically do everything you could think about for a space, from designing it to project managing the construction, to the flooring, to the ceilings, to the window treatment, the furniture, the accessories, everything you could possibly imagine for your business. And now that the lines have been crossed between where do you work, at home or do you work in the office, we also have transferred those same skill sets to the home. So not just home offices. We've always done home offices before, but now we can renovate your kitchen and your garage or anything like that, and really bring those same skill sets that we have in the commercial world to the home. What's the flow of the home that you want? What's the feel you want in your home? Again, using that foundation of your home to achieve your family's goals. So if you want to spend more time making dinner with your family, okay, let's make the kitchen more functional for you. You need to have, unfortunately right now, homeschooling. So let's make that a more functional little area. Or garages. We just did this really cool garage for this guy, and it's like amazing. And it is just so organized, and it's beautiful. You go in there and you're like, wow, who's going to even mess this garage up? It's so nice. So we transform any space that you have into a place that inspires you and starts your foundation for you to achieve your personal and business goals.
Was that pivot to designing homes as well part of the COVID
yes
experience?
So we did 2 shifts with COVID. Right when COVID hit, obviously we couldn't go in to install any furniture at anybody's place, and we were shut down for 3 solid weeks. It was a little scary. I have 150,000 square foot space, and there was not one light on, no employees, nothing. And we were like, okay, what are we gonna do? So I have an amazing team. And in 1 week, we came up with our safe space line, which is plexi shields for the office, but they're designed for the office. So not that you see somebody puts up a 2x4 and, hangs a piece of plexi. They're actually designed to blend in with the office space so that it's less scary. You don't lose your design element. You don't want to lose your design element that you just spent money and time on in your space to look ugly. So in 1 week, we prototyped, priced, marketed, named the whole thing. We started on a Monday. We ended the following Monday and we went to market. We sold something on our very first day. It was pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
So we did that. We were shut down in March, and then by April is when we rolled it out. And to date, so it's been a year now, we've sold $5 million in.
Oh my gosh, that's
protective,
incredible.
In protective equipment for the office.
Did you know that only 1.7% of all the businesses in the US that have reached that $1 million mark are women owned? I have been working with female founders for over 10 years, and I can clearly see that women have a unique set of challenges when it comes to scaling a business. If you're an entrepreneur too, I'm sure you can relate. It's a really lonely journey. Couple that with all the added responsibilities and pressure that women feel on a daily basis, it's overwhelming too. I created the only peer advisory group strictly for ambitious women entrepreneurs who haven't reached that 7-figure mark yet. Each cohort is designed with 6 to 8 industry agnostic entrepreneurs. During this year-long program, members receive advice from subject matter experts on things like how to understand your business financials or search engine optimization. But the support they get from each other is where the magic really happens. To learn more or become a part of our next forum, go to our website, powerfulpartnersinc.com.
That's definitely changed. It kind of went down a little bit. It's going to peak back up again as more companies go back to the office. But the other thing that we did, we were like, okay, probably this year coming up, there's going to be less people buying office furniture, probably 25-30%. So why don't we use our same skill set that we already have in-house to just switch it to homes? It's really the same process. It's just taking that process and moving it into homes. So again, another COVID pivot. But that's like who we are though as a company. Like I said, like starting out as used and then manufacturing and flooring and design and window treatment and accessories and the whole 9 yards. We're never going to stop. We're always, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? So hopefully next year, maybe if you interview me again or anything like that, I'll have the next thing we're going to be working on. I don't want to share it quite yet, but I'm working on it.
Great. I love it. Reinvention, right? You have to keep yourself relevant in the industry and for your customers. Always be creating something new.
For sure. And I am so passionate about helping people. I'm pretty competitive and winning in the game of business and the game of life is like so exciting for me. I know it sounds weird, but if you called me and you're like, I just landed this new client, you would think that I won the client too, because I get so excited when people are like doing the next thing, taking a risk or, having something great happen to them. It's so exciting for me that I'm like, oh, if I can help people do that, if I can help my employees achieve their goal, if I can help my customers achieve their next goal, even my vendors, whatever we can do and celebrate the success of all of us is so fun for me.
So important too. Yeah. I love it. I could totally see you. Yeah. Just having a party about, celebrating with someone else. That's great.
For sure. So that's my next thing. I'm going to be working on hopefully helping other people escalate their life through winning in business and winning in their personal life. So that's my next venture that I'm going to be working on.
Revenue is important, right? In a business, that you deal with the money in a business. How has the business grown since you've become part of the leadership?
So when I became president, 11 years ago, we were at $6.8 million in sales. And to date this year, we're 16 million. So that's kind of cool. And what was really cool about that too, was that we were 16 million before COVID and 16 million during COVID. So it was kind of like, yes, we did it. We didn't let it hurt us, because a lot of other people in the office furniture industry were down 40% that I
Oh
heard.
man.
I mean, cause I'm, friends with people in the industry and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't like, that's a lot of money to be down. So it's been exciting to, grow the business from, 6 million to 16 million by just adding that next thing and adding that next salesperson and, what can we do next? And what's the next resource we can be for somebody? If you have customers, you want to be able to be a resource for those customers for the whole thing so that they can just call one person. So like, for instance, when I said so we did office furniture, well, then why don't we just do their whole space? So why do they have to call a different person to do their space and then call a different person to do their furniture? And then, okay, so now we're done. We've done their space and everything. And now they need artwork for their walls and they need window treatment. Well, why can't we just do that too? Why can't we be that resource for them and really make it like, I won't do anything unless I can do it like 100%. Like, for instance, we tried a closet upstairs. We redid our whole space upstairs for a showroom for our residential design. And we did the closet and we did a great job. It looks beautiful. But there are closet companies out there that can do a better job than I can, and they can do it for less money. They maybe can't do it for a better job, but same, less money, whatever. That's just more beneficial for the customer to go there. So if I can do a great job at it and be the one-stop shop for the customer, that's the way like to grow your business. There's lots of ways to grow your business.
Yeah, with the capabilities that you already have, right? It's not like you added on new line or new manufacturing
new
machines.
People and new machines, nothing like that. You really just want to try to brainstorm and try to really think outside the box. A lot of times we get stuck in this, well, I sell this. And you're like, yeah, but the customer needs this and this and this. And you already have those people who can do that. And sometimes we forget that because we're like, well, no, they do this. And you're like, yeah, but it's really the same process. Like if you can break things down to a process, you can see, oh, look, that just like I said, with the residential and the commercial, well, it's the same process. Like the construction's the same, the process for the furniture, the ordering of the furniture. I didn't have to hire any other staff. We already had the staff. They just did, a little bit of a switch. There's different ways. Like one, you can go into new markets. So you can go, okay, I'm in Chicago. I could go to Milwaukee too. Like that's how a way you could grow your business. Or two, you could, okay, I need all brand new customers to sell them like a brand new thing. That's really hard to do because you'd have to get into a new market and new customers and all of that. Or you can take your same customers and like, okay, what else do they need? And then break that down. And then, okay, out of what they need, what can I fulfill? What can I fulfill with the machines I already have, with the staff I have, with their skill set? Having the right people in place is really the number one thing. That is what changed my whole trajectory of the business. It was about 7 years ago. I put into place Culture Index is like a personality testing.
Okay.
And it matches up the personality that's needed for a job function to the person's personality, and it matches it up. And if you can get that to match and line up very well, the person feels like they don't even have a job. They're like, oh my God, I'm so excited because they're doing something that's natural to their personality.
They're so much happier at work.
Oh, they're so much happier. You're so much happier with them because they're so much happier. So I'll give you an example. So me being a CPA, our consultant is like, how? I don't understand. Your personality trait does not go anywhere near that you could be a CPA. And I realized that you're right. Like I shouldn't be a CPA. I actually hired a CFO 3 years ago and I don't do any accounting anymore at all, but I'm so much happier. I didn't realize, I thought as an adult, life is stressful, work is stressful, and you go home tired at the end of every day. And it doesn't have to be like that. If you can align your personal like traits that you are just natural to you to the personal traits of the job that's needed, I go home energized.
Yeah, that's like, how it should be. Life should, work should be enjoyable. I mean, we spend half of our life at work. Life should be enjoyable.
But I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that until this.
We grow up thinking, and I know I had this too, is like you grow up thinking, oh, it's supposed to be hard work, and struggle, but it doesn't have to be.
It
And I
does
love
not.
that you really looked beyond that to see what's possible. And you've made those changes in your company. And now you were saying that's impacted your team as well.
It has impacted my team. If I tried to do all the things that I have done over the last couple of years with the team that I used to have, now granted, I didn't get rid of, my whole team. There were some people that, left, but then there were some people that were just in the wrong role. They were still a great employee. They were just in the wrong role. So I switched them to different roles, and then I hired other people. And now that I have the team that I have, the sky's the limit. I mean, we just work so well together. And that's something that I really put into place, and I won't deviate from it. I don't care what your skill set is. If you don't have the proper values that work with our company and with our team, and if your natural personality traits do not line up with the natural personality traits of the job that I need done, I will not hire you. I don't care if you were the best person in the world and you showed me all the success. It's not worth it. And I know better.
I've
Than
heard
to
that.
do that.
Hire
Yeah.
for values, train for skills.
Exactly. Because I can train skills. I can't train values. They've been instilled in you since you were little, and yeah, they've grown a little bit as you've gotten older, but they're really ingrained, and you're not going to change those in people.
What are some of the personality tests that you give people when you're looking to hire them?
So I only give the culture index. I
Okay.
love it. Love it, love it, love it. This is the only one that I've noticed that actually matches up the job function personality traits to the person's job function. It matches it up perfectly. Instantly shows you whether they're a 60% match, a 30% match, a 90% match. And so if I'm getting 50 resumes for a job, I won't even look at them. I'll do all the culture index first, and then I will put, because you can hire people you like. You're like, oh, but I like them and I like them. And then you're like, yeah, but they weren't right for the job just because you like them. And then you just wasted all that time. You wasted their time. You wasted your time. Because if it's not a good fit for you, it's not a good fit for them either. They can feel that it's not a good fit. So that's one of the things about Culture Index. And then the second thing is it comes with the consultant. And it's amazing. So every time I'm hiring somebody, I can use her as many times as I want. Anytime I'm hiring, it's just included in the one flat fee that I have to pay per year. Sometimes in the past, I used to be like this. I'd be like, but I really like this person. I want to hire them. And they would say to me, okay, Melissa, do you want to have this problem or this, or like, they're not right for the job? And I'm like, you're right. Okay, I'm not going to do it. There were a couple times that I didn't listen. And then I was like, oh man, I should have listened. Because it didn't work out, and it didn't work out for them either, and sometimes I know people are like, I can't fire somebody. They have a family or they have this. And, I don't just fire somebody. I really give them a chance. And this was much harder before I had Culture Index. Now that I've had Culture Index, I really don't even, I think maybe I've had to fire like 1 or 2 people in 7 years. And before that, it was a lot because it was just never a good fit, or they didn't work out, or something happened with them. But if you really just want that person to do good, they want to do good. Nobody wants to come to work and not do a good job.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes not a good fit. So you really work with them, you try, you give them training, you give them support, you do everything you can. You put them in a different role if you can, but sometimes it's just not a good fit. Let them go on, and then they'll find their way, and they'll find a better job that's a better fit for them.
Yeah, I think it was Jim Collins said, you have to have the right people on the bus.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I say, like physically and literally. So you have to have the right person in the right seat in a chair that's comfortable for them, as well as the right seat and role in your company.
What's the biggest challenge you've had to overcome as a woman entrepreneur, especially in manufacturing?
What gets me sometimes is kind of funny is when I go to a construction site and they're like talking and like thinking I don't know what I'm talking about, or they think they're talking over my head, or, or I don't know the construction process. That's the part that really gets me sometimes, that you're just like, just because I'm a woman, you think that I don't know this and I don't know this and I don't know this. Like
the assumptions.
Why?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or the phone calls you'll get where some of the contractors are like yelling at you and trying to, push you around, or, do stuff like that. So instead of like getting upset or yelling back or anything like that, I kill them with kindness, and it throws them off. It's so
I
funny.
love that.
It's so funny. I am like overly kind and have my nice, sweet voice on. And then they're like, cause they're expecting you to like either fight or cry. And then when I'm killing them with kindness, like, sure, we can get that done, or what can we do? Or that, you know, and I just am like super sweet. And they're like, then they stop yelling because they don't even know how to react.
That's great. Oh my gosh, that's such a
Yeah.
great piece of advice. Yeah, because
Mhm.
so many times, you know, we take it personally and we want to yell back, but at the end of the day, like kindness, you catch more, what is it, flies with honey than
Yes.
vinegar or something like that. I
Yeah.
remember that saying, but yeah, it's true.
When emotions keep getting higher and higher on, you know, in a situation, because we're dealing with deadlines and people are moving in and everybody's already like, there's so many moving parts with the plumber is coming, the electrician's coming, and this is happening. And, you know, emotions can run high, but then somebody's emotions are high and then your emotions are high. Then what are you getting done? You're not like, nobody's listening to each other or anything. You have to be able to calm that down and really just speak logically and calmly. And then you can solve problems from there. You can't solve problems from everybody being like crazy.
Ego. So you've worked in the financial side of the business for quite some time. As you were growing the company, were there any limiting beliefs around money that you had to work through? Or have you ever seen any of your own limiting beliefs pop up maybe in your personal life?
Yes. Even in business too, like believing that you can get to that next level or you can get that bigger project. Because like I would say that in the beginning, we would really work on maybe the biggest customer, maybe 50 employees. And I'm like, well, why? Like, oh, well, we can't do a good enough job for them, or, oh, only the big guys can handle projects that are that big or handle projects that are out of state. And then you got to break through that. Well, ask yourself, what? Well, why can't I do that? And why can't it, and like really, peel back the onion of, well, what makes them more special than I am or than my company? And why can they do it? And what would stopping me from doing it? And really doing a lot of like self-reflection. What is stopping you?
Yeah.
And most of the time, a friend of mine calls it our invisible fence, like when you have that dog and they have that collar and then there's no fence there and they have that invisible fence and you can't see it. We do that to ourselves, where we put that invisible, I can't get past that. And you're like, well, why can't I get past it? It's like, because we put a limiting belief in our way and then we're not getting past that invisible fence. And just always like, you can do it. You can try. And failure is okay. It's okay to fail.
Yes.
It's okay to fail, because I'm telling you, if you look at any successful person, you will see that they failed so many times. But most of the time, these successful people you see in a magazine or the news or whatever, you're only seeing like the highlights and the good parts. And you didn't see all the struggle that they put in for the years before that and all the failures. I mean, there's lots of failures and it's okay to fail. And you're like, okay, I messed up. I have this one coach and he's so funny. He says, okay, you have a little baby. They're trying to learn to walk and they fall down. And then what are you going to say to them? Get up. What are you, being stupid? You have to walk. You're not going to talk like that to a baby. And it's like, so why do we beat ourselves up? We all like, we're trying something new. We failed. And then we berate ourselves. Well, I should have done better. I didn't do that. And it's like, you're just trying something new. You're learning to walk. You're trying something, be nice to yourself. It's okay. Get back up. What can you do better? As women, I don't know about men that much, but women, oh my gosh, they're so hard on themselves.
We are.
Yeah. And you have to be reminded of that almost every day, where give yourself permission, or even if you can't give yourself permission, give one of your friends or one of your colleagues permission to tell you, hey, take care of yourself today, or it's okay, you deserve to take care of yourself today, and just be kinder to yourselves.
And I want to ask you about that actually, because you work with coaches, right? I know you
Yeah.
have one right now, and that helps you, right? Because you have somebody that can point it out when you don't even realize, because sometimes it's subconscious. We don't even realize that we're being too hard on ourselves or that we're playing small, because it's just so ingrained in our belief system, that it has to be hard. So we make it hard.
Exactly. And sometimes when it comes easy, when I get a client or something, I'm like, ooh, I didn't work that hard for that one. I almost feel guilty. Like, ooh, oh my gosh, we have to stop doing that. It so can be easier, and you can so just be better to yourself. And I'm learning that. Like, it's taken me a long time, but I work on it every single day. Every day I listen to something positive. I read something positive. I talk to somebody about life, or what's the meaning of things, or how can we get better, or what can we do? And it's those tiny, small changes that you can make every day. So I'll give you an example. In 2013, I got cancer. And you would think that that would have been the big thing that would have made me change my life. Yep, I changed my life for for the 2 years that I was in cancer treatment and all that. And maybe for 6 months after that, once I got back to work, I just got into the same grind and the same thing.
Wow.
And I'm like, what am I doing? And then I really don't know what happened. Like, there was some kind of switch that went off, I guess, just working on it enough times, or talking to enough people, or having a coach, to where, man, you have to take care of yourself, and you have to take care of yourself first. And the more you just take care of yourself, the more great things happen to you. And they do. And if you pay attention and you stay conscious to, wow, I took care of myself, and then look what good thing happened. And oh, I took care of myself again. And then what good thing happened? And listen to your body. That was the other thing that I didn't do. I just kept pushing through and pushing through and pushing through until my body was like, okay, you're done. Like you didn't listen. So now you get cancer, luckily I'm, in remission, everything's good. And now I'll give you an example. Just so cool. This happened like a month ago, I think. I was super tired. It was Friday. I'm just like, oh, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm so tired. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go lay down. I'm going to lay down for 15 minutes. And I just set a timer, and I just laid there, and I was breathing. And I was in one of those days where it's just like, I need to do more. I didn't do enough today. And no, you need to push through more. You can't go lay down. And so I did. I just went and laid down for 15 minutes. And then I got up, and I felt more refreshed. I went back to my computer and started back in emails. And I get an email from a lady I don't even know. She saw me on LinkedIn, and she's with Chase. And she's like, hey, we have this diversity program, and I saw you on LinkedIn, and do you want to sign up for it? Like, we could probably bring you some business. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It was unbelievable. I don't even know her. And I'm like, because I allowed it to happen. Like, that's sometimes, I'm a pusher. I will push. We can make it happen. We can figure it out. And I sometimes over push, and I'm learning more to push, take a little bit of a breather, push, take a little bit of a breather. And when I do the little bit of a breather and allow these good things to happen in my life, they happen.
Law of attraction, you attract good things too. When your mind, your thoughts are in a good place, that's when you attract the good things that are in that good vibration, right? But if you're always pushing, and you're depleted, and you're just thinking about how tired you are, I mean, those things, you're going to block them from coming
Exactly. It's like the magnet in the opposite way. It just, even though the good thing's right there, it can't come to you, because in order for good things to come to you, and in order for you to be creative or make good decisions, you have to have space, and you need that, maybe even a triggering point happen. You need some space before you react, because the longer you can put some space in there before you react, the better decisions you'll make, and you'll make them from more conscious level, instead of just, oh, I'm just going to make this decision. I'm going to make this decision. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, what did I just do? Oh, shoot.
Just recently in January, I was in that energy of just push. End of 2020, I had a great quarter. Yay. And come January, I was like, okay, got to keep this going. And my energy switched. Instead of just enjoying the moment and continuing to do what was working, I all of a sudden started changing things up, and it was a disaster. But I was also, what ended up happening in the process of doing that, I was working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. I was not taking care of myself. So I took a step back. I looked at not just, the lessons that I learned from that whole experience, because there were quite a few of them, but also, why did I do that? What drove me to do that? And when I started peeling back those layers, it came down to subconscious beliefs. Now that I have that awareness, I'll know when those things start popping up, and I can take a step back, go lay down for 15 minutes.
Right.
Take a breather. Yeah. Yes. Melissa, what is your biggest piece of advice for women entrepreneurs who want to scale to 7 figures, who are struggling struggling to get there right now. They have these big dreams and ambitions. They have a company that they love serving their clients. What's your biggest piece of advice?
I would say take time and space and analyze what you're really, really good at. What's your genius? And then try to find somebody to do everything else for you. And I know that sounds weird in the beginning because you're like, I can't hire anybody and I can't afford to hire the next person. And maybe you can only do it in baby steps. If you figure out what your genius is, what you're super good at, and then you write down every other thing that still has to be done in your business, how can you get that done? It doesn't have to be a full hire. I call it like using people on my bench. Some of them are employees, some of them aren't, some of them are consultants, some of them are coaches. Ask for help. Ask for help. You need help. You cannot do it all on your own. And sometimes it takes that little bit of a risk for the money. Like I'll give you an example with the CFO. I couldn't afford a CFO. They were expensive. I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't afford a CFO, but I knew I needed it. I knew I couldn't do it anymore and be the president and be the sales manager and grow the company and all of that. And I knew the numbers were super important. My CFO looks at the numbers in a totally different way. He looks at them. It's not about, oh, I'm going to save you a penny here. I'm going to save you a dollar. He looks at it from afar and we could make this little change over here, or we could do this, or this is really where we make money. So let's do this over here. He has like overpaid for himself by 3 times. And I couldn't afford him. I couldn't not afford him.
When you're on your deathbed, are you going to say, oh, I'm so glad I saved that money by not hiring somebody to do all that work? I'm so glad I did all that work for me. No, you're going to be thinking about the time, that extra time that you had to spend with your family or go on a vacation.
Be creative with your time because your time is super valuable. It's worth gold. How can you just do the things that matter the most? Because at the end of the day, you're like, what did I get done today? Like sometimes it's just so crazy. There's emails and there's this and this person's bothering you and this phone call and this, and it's like, and then you didn't move your company forward. And it's like, what's the one thing you can do each day to move your company forward? Made one extra phone call, one extra LinkedIn connection, whatever you can do, and try to do it very first thing in the morning because the day gets away from you. We get down in the weeds and we like work in our business instead of on our business way too much.
The one thing that is so powerful. Yeah. And then you feel like you've accomplished your day. You feel like you've won your day because you've done that one thing that was on your list. And that's what really mattered. And for all that other stuff that you don't want to do, that you're looking on your list and you're like, I just wish I had somebody else to do this. Hire somebody to do it, because at the end of the day, it's going to make your business more profitable because you are now spending more time doing what you're great at, what you love doing. And this person will end up paying for themselves.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Now that you reach this level, Melissa, what is important to you?
What is important to me is giving back with my employees. And now even like trying to take it to the next level. I just met this lady recently and she does this thing called Female Strong, and she mentors teenagers to grow their self-confidence so that they can be better in whatever it is that they want to do. And so I just want to get involved in that. And then there's like this safe haven in Chicago. They have the coolest homeless program, helping them with their job, helping them with their, drug addiction, helping them with their mental health issues, and really taking a holistic approach. I'm passionate about that too. It's like, I have so many things I'm passionate about, but those are my two big things right now, Safe Haven and this Female Strong, how I want to really just give back to people so that maybe one more person could, achieve their goals would be really cool.
Melissa, I want to acknowledge you for showing up, not just as a female entrepreneur, but as a leader, creating this amazing culture for your employees who now love coming to work and they feel like they can make work a part of their life, that it's not just, something that they go to do every day, but it's part of their lifestyle now. And for inspiring other women, I mean, the message that you're sharing right now, there's so many great things in here that I know the women who are viewing this are going to take away, and it's really going to help them build their business. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And it's always great seeing you.